Hello, everyone. It's the Jarek Brian Show. My name is Jarek. I have that dog in me. And today, guys, we have a special guest on the show. We have Shaun from T3 Play. Shaun, how you doing, buddy?
Yeah, doing really good. How about you?
Pretty good. And it's exciting that we have like a gaming studio on. And I love the fact of having Web3 gaming on the show. So I'm a huge gamer nerd. So I'm definitely into that. But before we get into all that, and kind of give us your story of you getting all the way here to Web3.
Yeah, I guess I'll start right from the beginning. Grew up not knowing what I wanted to do. Dropped out of school pretty early on, and parents were like, you got to either go study or go get a job. So I went and did a graphics and web design diploma back when. And this was when you had to hard code everything, and it was all HTML, and kind of got sick of sitting in front of a computer all day. I learned all the skills, and really, in hindsight, that was probably the better industry to stay in. But I just wanted to be outside, and all my mates were doing construction and building and things like that, so I got into that. But also, we grew up sort of. I had everything I needed, but I guess family was. Yeah, we had everything we needed, but we definitely didn't have that much. And as soon as Dad kind of got into his own business, we started seeing that change. So from an early age, I kind of knew that eventually I'm going to need to have my own business and to really take off. I had that in the back of my mind, right? I need to sort of set the foundation, learn what I need to learn, and sort of was in construction for a long time, eventually ended up with my own business in construction, went overseas, did some traveling, and then came back and started project managing and also then business management. So in the back end, we had, and this is kind of when I started getting into Web3 as well. So we had another construction business as a side hobby, doing renovations and new builds. And all of this was going on while I was sort of just getting into Web3. And around 2017, I had a bunch of friends like, you need to get into crypto, you need to buy these coins, and sending me all these coins. And I looked at it and I saw they were making money, and I was like, I can see there's money in it, but I don't fully understand it. And took me till I guess it was 2020, before I really kind of dove into Web3. And that kind of got me in front of the computer again. And by then we had, a decent amount of money that we could invest and look into either tokens or even just early startups, Web3 startups. So spent a lot of time looking at pitch decks, spent a lot of time reading through white papers and investing just small amounts, but a lot, spreading that capital through a lot of Web3 startups and, DeFi projects, gaming, and just a lot of things. Not too many NFT projects, but we saw what was coming. A lot of those, to be honest, I'd say 95% of those, if not more, of those that we invested in either don't exist anymore or just completely flopped. And so we looked at it and thought, well, and by we I mean my partner and the co-founder here, Cece, of T3 Play. But we both looked at it and thought, why can't we do this? These people were basically selling the earth and then delivered nothing. Yeah. We're the type of people that will make it happen. And why not, instead of be throwing our money into all of these projects where we have no control, we're literally just trusting them with our money to do what they say they're going to do. Why not put that into our own business? And so that's pretty much how, I guess, a bit of my background, and also how we got into Web3 and specifically with gaming. I grew up gaming, always loved gaming, but I mean, you're combining two very good business propositions in Web3, but also with gaming, and gaming's not going to go away regardless. So even if Web3 was to flop, which it's not going to, but even if it did, worst case, you've got something to fall back on that's a proven industry, and is just going to keep growing. So, combining Web3 gaming, and we've also got a bit of AI as well involved, which is pretty cool.
Oh yeah, and we'll definitely dive into that like more later. Now, as far as like kind of like Web3 gaming, right, and the Studio T3 Play, right, where do you kind of see? And this is kind of a question I love asking like gaming studios too. Like, where do you actually see kind of like Web3 gaming actually going in the next couple of years, right? And also too, how do we get more people onto Web3 gaming as well?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think in the next 1 to 2 years, we're definitely going to see some games really kind of hit the news lines in the traditional sense, where for a long time now, years, there's been just almost this hate towards Web3 gaming from your traditional side. There's a lot of people who are starting to warm up to it already, but it's going to take that one or two big games that, there's plenty of them around already that are building. I think people would be surprised at how many Web3 games there actually are. I mean, we don't cover them all, but we spend a lot of time trying to build relationships and speaking with these games, and the amount that we have on our list it's impressive. So I think, there's going to be a lot of games coming out that are going to surprise people, even just with the use of Web3, not just your I guess your traditional. We've got NFTs and there are the assets in the game, and then there's a token that you can earn. I think there's going to be some quite clever uses of the technology. So that's exciting. I think we're going to be one of those that are in that group that people are going to be seeing a lot of in that next 1 to 2 years.
Yeah, no, and I'm totally on board with Web3 gaming though. But why do you think like traditional gamers have such a hard time, and I get the hate, right? And I see it all the time, especially like in the Steam store. Remember that kind of story came out, and everything like that. Like, why do you think people like push back so much on having NFTs in game?
Yeah, we've had a lot of spaces that try and cover this topic, and even just as a team trying to figure out how we can break down that barrier. But the only thing I can really kind of relate to as well, and explain it in a way that makes sense to me anyway, hopefully some people also would agree, but I go back to that period of time when it was 2017 and all my friends were saying, get involved, jump on these tokens, and I can see like, okay, yeah, the prices are going up, but I don't really get it, and I need to learn more, or I'm just not interested, it's a scam. Like, those were kind of the things that were going through my head at the time. I'll cover it before. And then you see the prices plummeting, and you're like, okay, glad I didn't go on that, didn't get involved. Yeah. And it kind of makes you feel better, like you validated your choice. You're like, okay, it was good that I didn't do that. And I think that's what happened in Web3 gaming, is that it came out strong, in that last bull run. And we saw a lot of money getting pumped into it, especially on the VC end. I mean, billions really. And so the problem was that not a single game did well, and not a single game really impressed anyone in terms of the gameplay. And so you had this combination of games not being ready or mature enough on a playability level, but also the fact that their tokens had just been diving, ever since, validated everyone else's thoughts. And then you had the NFT side of things where, back then, the majority of NFTs really were PFP projects and art-based projects, rather than like a character in a game, and that character never really got a chance to prove itself because the game just flopped, or there was just so many cases where people could go, see, it didn't work, like, this isn't needed, we don't need it. And that's kind of the attitude that you see now, is that it's not needed. Why do we need this? And it's, I think, down to a lack of true education. It took me, like I mentioned, from 2017 to get to 2019/2020 to really start looking into it and understanding why it's important. So that's either going to come from individuals going and doing that research themselves, or it's going to come from a game that is successful and proves the systems, and people can actually understand, like, I get it now, that character's mine, I own it, no one can do anything about it. Oh, and I get to maybe use it in another game. And it's not, there's a lot of opportunities there. And that obviously the well-known fact is that now you've got assets that you can sell on a secondary market, and there's no one can stop you, and it's a transparent transaction.
It's an exciting time, and definitely something that I look forward to kind of seeing, especially where we're going to be a year from now or even 2 years from now, kind of in that sector. Is like, are we finally going to have that kind of where everyone's like, oh, okay, well, it's not that bad. I kind of really didn't experience it with kind of the internet because I was just a kid at that time, and I didn't really kind of I guess I wasn't really kind of paying much attention, but it'd be kind of cool to actually see something that was so ridiculed, and then finally people like come around to it, and then kind of like come together. So I'm kind of waiting for that time to actually happen. I'm hoping I'm around for it though, but I just can't wait for that moment in time. But T3 Play, right? It's a gaming studio. Can you kind of tell us a little bit more about it?
Yeah. So originally, when we set out to do this, we knew we were going to need a studio to build the game. Myself, I've got very basic skills. At the moment, my role in the game is obviously day-to-day operations and directing everything, but also I do a bit of cinematics, and also I've been learning animations. So that's the extent of it for me. CC's decent with 3D models, but we needed someone who could really build the game. So we always needed a studio, and we found a studio that wasn't busy at the time and had the skills to be able to do what we were needing, and we got them on board. And at the time, this is just as the market was turning. So a couple of years ago, they had finished doing a bit of work for another Web3 business, and at the time they had 35 people involved. So we dropped that right down pretty quickly there was about 8 involved. So we found pretty quickly who was good and who we needed to keep on board. And like, if things keep tightening up and the market keeps going down, we want to make sure we've got 2 or 3 at least that we can just slow build this out until the market returns and we can raise money. So long story short, that those guys turned out to be incredible. Like, we're so lucky to have met them and come across such talented and driven people that we decided, why not combine the 2 teams, create a studio that, rather than you being contracted to build this game for us, you guys are part of it, and it's a long-term vision, and let's build some other stuff and build a brand and a name for ourselves that it doesn't matter what game it is. We're all getting something out of it. So that's basically how we got to T3 Play. Was just a merger of the original studio and then the Web3 side, and we've also got someone in the team too that's focused on the AI side, Web3 devs, things like that. So that's basically it, and how we got to T3 Play. And it also gives us, I think, if one game doesn't work, you've got a team there that can build on something else. We're not just going to give up because that one game failed. Not that that's obviously the plan is to make every game successful, but it's a tough industry, and you want to have backup plans and be able to kind of pivot if needed.
Oh yeah, and I love that, and also too, I want to jump into a little bit of like mobile games too as well. Like, you guys will be jumping into that sector anytime soon, or is that something that's kind of like down the road, or not really something you're thinking about right now?
A year ago we were looking at it, but even in the last year, the mobile game, even just the traditional mobile game sector, has become like, there's just so many copycat games now.
Yeah,
it's got to a point where it's kind of flattening out, and that's where all the users are. It's so easy now for somebody to be able to just own a $150 phone that they use for most other things, but they can also play games on it, and you're able to reach a much wider audience. But there's a lot of development cost that goes into it. A lot of people don't realize, like, for example, T3 Play is building FF4, which is a very like high quality, high graphically demanding game that you're having to rebuild the whole game to do it on mobile. So at the moment, our focus is PC, and T3 Play is building a platform that's got a launcher involved where we'll host our own games. They'll be hosted elsewhere as well. We're already got FF4 on 7 different launchers, but yeah, just a matter of having them on desktop, building that user base, proving the game, and then we can look at options. I think, yeah, if it makes sense, then we've got to be looking at it, but there's just no way that we can do all of that right now, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, just kind of like a kind of a question to ask though too as well. But Flight Force 4, can you kind of also tell us about that? Because the graphics look amazing, and I've seen like videos of it, and I'm like, man, this looks like really sweet. And it's kind of similar to like actually, I don't know, it's kind of like almost like a Halo-esque type game though, but it looks really cool. And just kind of tell us more about it.
Yeah, definitely. And you're right. If we're going to compare it to a game, you'd say it's going to be the closest fit is going to be Halo, maybe a combination of that with Call of Duty or something along those lines. But a lot of building. We've got a demo so far, which is single player. You basically run around in a small map that you shoot targets and NPCs, and then that opens up the next section, and the idea is to shoot everything and get through as quick as you can. But we're building right now, we're working on the multiplayer. We've improved the gameplay. Originally we were going to release another version of the game with that new gameplay. There's a lot of work just involved in that, so we thought, let's just wait, put that new gameplay in the next version of the game, which will be the multiplayer. That's going to be a game changer because we'll be able to play against each other, and there's a lot more there while we're building the actual game. And the game's going to take years. It's a big game, and just like any other huge title, they've got the multi-million-dollar studios and the backing. The money's not an issue for them, but it still takes 3-4 years even to get something half decent. So we'll be no different, but we do want to release it in stages, and I think Web3 gives us a huge advantage in that area, especially when you're talking about trying to appeal to a gamer. There's a few things that gamers want to see. Is they either want to have the immersion where there's the core gameplay loops that keep them coming back, or maybe it's just progressing through the game is the goal, and it's they open it up every single day and there's something new to do. Either that, or you've got to have something where they're either grinding for NFTs or grinding for tokens and things that they can actually use elsewhere or even just in the game. So that's something we're working on, but a big focus for us with FF4 especially is to kind of bring back the story, kind of the lore and the storylines with cinematic trailers and making you feel like you're a little bit more involved in the game. So that's a huge focus for us. I'm working on the cinematics, so I've got some cool ideas, but that's something that I always loved playing games. Is either getting to the end of a level and you get to see a video, or you get to see something cool, and that's kind of the reward, as well as maybe you get some assets as well, or tokens. So there's a lot being built right now. We're releasing, there's 2 characters in the game, and just for I guess a little bit more background is that the game centers around a power supply, the Zanite, which is it powers everything in the game, and for both the human characters and the Exion alien characters. So if you're running around, you're going to need to keep trying to find this Zanite, this power supply. If you run out, your gun won't work, or your jetpack won't work, or all your perks. So it'll be quite an interesting mechanic once we start seeing people trying different strategies playing this game. It's just one more thing to think about is making sure you still got not only ammo, but your health, and then also this Zanite. There's many ways that you can get it, but that's a big part of the game for us. But the 2 characters, the defenders, the humans, and then the Exions, which we haven't released yet. So we sort of started now leaking some sneak peeks of those, which we can probably drop in here. But and a character mint as well coming up for those Exions too.
Exciting stuff though, and I kind of want to go over this too as well. And so from people will watch this and realize, especially when this kind of like bull market comes back, and people kind of sit here and they promise you a game within a couple months, right? And they promise you like a game like yours in a couple months. Can you tell these people so they don't fall into this trap, like how hard it is, one, to build a game just kind of like yours, right? A very, immersive, very graphics, right? It takes a long time, and I definitely want to hear it from you, like someone from a gaming studio and everything like that. How much time actually goes into actually going to be able to actually like put this game out, so just people can know, so people don't get like kind of like scammed on that too. That a gaming project can just pop up in 1 month and say they're going to have it next month. You can kind of give us a little bit more detail on that.
Yeah, and you're right. 100% that's going to happen. So people do need to be careful. I mean, I'd say I was a victim of these kind of
Yeah.
games, like early on, investing in those, thinking this is going to be awesome. And they either just disappear as soon as the market turns, or they do release something and you're like, what is this? Like, this
Yep.
is not what you had in the videos. But it depends what kind of game they're building, so you do need to take that into account. Something like what we're building definitely takes a long time. I think one game that was pretty transparent from the outset, Star Atlas, said 7 years to build their game, and people were throwing money at it like
Yeah.
thousands of dollars. And
Yeah.
this is a long time. I mean, yes, you can speculate, and maybe somebody will buy your bags or somebody will buy your NFTs, and as long as you make money, that's great. But at the same time, it's high risk. So, just for context, I guess this character that we've just built, the Exion, one of these models by itself took 13 weeks for one person to design full time, and this guy's a machine. He's 13-14 hours a day every single day, very good at his job. This is thousands of dollars just to make one model in the game. So yeah, you've got to think things like that. It's either somebody's going to make a terrible game,
Yeah.
or it's going to take a lot longer than they are saying. And I mean, we've been guilty of maybe being a bit light on timeframes and saying, like, we'll have this ready by then. And there's a lot of factors that come into it. I mean, the market has kind of dragged, and you hope that, for us, the goal is to create enough of a game to then go and raise money. And then that's when we expand and supersize everything and speed the build process up substantially. But yeah, it's just the way it is at the moment in the market. I think everyone's very much in the same place. So you're just building as best as you can with what you've got. And like I said earlier, we're so lucky that we've got such a talented team that are just in it for the long run. So there's a lot of red flags that you could probably do a whole show just on red flags for games. But yeah, just be super careful with what people are promising, and if they don't have the team, like a proven team, then you need to see some results. And I guess we fall into that category as well, where we don't have any giant games that we can go, hey, we built this, and so now we're building this, so you should trust us. We've got to prove ourselves, and that's what we're doing now. So we've been building now for a couple of years. So look for some people that have at least been building for a while, because time is... money's one thing, but time's another. If someone's willing to put 2 years into something of their life, that's a big gamble for them and a risk. So you can hopefully be a little more confident they're actually going to do what they said.
No, like I said, 100% agree. And I'm glad, like I said, I'm thankful for you coming on and saying like, hey guys, it takes a long time to build something like this, and it's just great. So people can kind of like know, at least if I can get at least one or two people to realize like, oh, hey, wait a minute, this game is promising like have this out next month, and this looks better than most games. I'm like, wait, this is kind of weird though. But I do want to kind of talk about in this Flight Force 4, what's going to be the thing that kind of sets it apart from the other first-person shooter games in the space.
I think a combination of the Zanite feature, just the mechanics of how that's going to work within like a game. And so we've also got a couple of game modes. There's a free-to-play mode and there's a high-stakes mode, and both of them have the same like match types, which will be team deathmatch, there'll be deathmatch, and then there'll be extract or destroy. And so extract or destroy, I think, is going to be, for me, the most interesting, because I do love going and jumping in maps and it just being total chaos and you're getting wiped left, right, and center, and you just keep going and going. That's fun. I mean, kind of like a small scale Warzone type of game, but also like I do like it when it's a little bit a slower pace. There's a bit more strategy involved. You're working with your team. You've got the comms and you're chatting, and it's actually like well thought out. But there's also little mini missions that you've got to do, and so that's kind of what extract or destroy is going to be. Is essentially you're doing with a smaller team. It'll be 3 to 4 people on your team, but you could be against 3 or 4 other teams on a big map. So a little bit more spread out. You've got two objectives really, is that you've got to go and wipe out the other teams, or you need to do the mini missions which lead you to the main mission, which is essentially extracting a bunch of that power supply, the Zanite, and you do a series of missions and then eventually call in your spaceship and pick up that Zanite, and then that's you win. So I think that's something that's a little more unique to our game when you combine that with the characters, and the maps will be quite, a lot of the stuff that we're doing, we want people to see it and be like, wow, I know that's a Flight Force 4 character, a weapon, or even the sounds as well. So everything we want to be quite unique to what we're building.
Yeah, and like I said, I like that. Like I like the strategy of it too. Like, I don't know, I kind of don't like to be just kind of run and gun. I'm kind of more of a strategy and kind of working together. I don't know. It's kind of just I kind of on that. I share that same sentiment with you. But also, you said the Zenites and Defenders, like they're like kind of like roles and ability. Are they going to have like certain like perks to them, or is one going to be like more of a kind of like a marksman, or one's going to have more strength? Can you kind of break down those roles for us?
Yeah. So the 2 characters. I mean, we've released 3 of the defender characters, the human characters, and all of them have had different traits, so they get like a unique perk. So the defenders, there's 5 planets in the game. One of them is Earth 2, which is pretty much like Earth. It's got pretty much everything you could need, and the Exions attacked originally the humans who had all of the planets, and they took over Earth 2 because take over 1, you get everything. But there's still a lot of Zanite on all the other planets. So the war basically is for this resource, Zanite, and each planet has totally different environments, and then each planet has a different character, and each of those characters get, like maybe I forget the name of the planet, but say I think it was Serum. Maybe they will have like much better technology, and that's the technology hub of this race, and so they get technology-based perks, things like that. Not so much like this person's a sniper or this person's like a run and gun, but you can upgrade your character, and that's more down to your own personal taste whether you want to have these assets and this kind of a character. But they will come with perks that are specific to the planet they're from or the character, whether it's a defender or an Exion.
And so you already have these kind of characters, right? And so what I'm trying to kind of get at is that where exactly are you going to actually be able? So these NFTs are going to be able to mint them on like a Polygon 2 as well. Is it going to be cross chain? Like where exactly are you able to actually get these different defenders or Zions?
They're cross chain. We've got 2 collections on Ethereum, 1 collection on Polygon, 1 collection on Stargaze, which is on Cosmos, and this next character collection, which is the Gen Zero Exions, they'll be on Polygon as well.
Oh, do you know when exactly that's going to be?
We wish it was months ago, but we're hoping to have them in the next month or so. So nothing. Well, we're trying to. We've got a cool minting mechanic, and there's a bit of a degen mechanic with being a Web3 game, it's hard to appeal to everyone. Like, there's not just enough gamers in Web3 to come in and mint up a collection. It's just the way it is. So we've got to have something here that appeals to everyone, and then slowly but surely over time, those will filter into the right hands. And so, yeah, we've got some cool mechanics we're trying to work on. We want to confirm everything before we get these dates. But yeah, this year, at worst in the next 2 months. But we've already started, like I said, dropping some of the sneak peeks to those characters, the NFTs will be a 2D representation of the 3D character you get to use in the game.
Oh, exciting, right? And so you said you have some on Ethereum, Stargaze, and one on Polygon, and they can pretty much get these on like OpenSea, Magic Eden, or is it just OpenSea for right now?
OpenSea, and I think we got some on Comet, and then Stargaze has its own marketplace. So yeah, and Altura as well. We've got assets on Altura.
Okay, that's very exciting. And are you guys gonna have like in the future like competitive like tournaments or anything like that? Like kind of one versus like one, or any kind of like content creation type stuff like that in the future? Or if so, when would that be?
Yeah, we want to get that kind of thing happening with the next version of the game. We want to be able to at least have like 5-on-5 or something like that tournaments where, even if it's a matter of completely customizing it, or even having a generic format and it's this team versus that team, or that project versus this project, it could be anything. Just having a system there that we can not only have tournaments but be able to put crypto up or NFTs up, and it's in the contract, rather than we see like this team won, give us your wallets and we'll send them when we can. We want it to be something that people can just drop in, and it's predetermined in the beginning that the winners are going to get these prizes, and that they're delivered once that game's finished and it's all confirmed.
Okay, cool. And also too, you're mentioning like tokens and whatnot, and how is that going to play like into the game? Like, is it going to be kind of like a play to earn, or tell me how the tokens are actually going to be in like the ecosystem? If you can go more in depth on that.
Yeah, so there's two tokens. There's the XP, which will be off-chain, at this stage off-chain, and that's basically the token you earn from playing and leveling up and spending time in the game. And that will get you certain NFTs, and those basically you'll be able to come into the game with nothing and essentially level up, earning XP. And if you want to grind and slowly work your way up, you can. Then there's the T3 Play token. So this will be the platform-wide token, and this is one of the focuses for us with T3 Play, is that the games that are on the platform will all have interoperable assets. So you could level up in one game and earn a bunch of assets that maybe not all of them, but a good chunk of them have use in another game, even if it's not like for like. It could be you own a gun in one game, you get access to a racing car or something like that in one of our other games. So there's a lot of interoperability that we're wanting to do, but that token will be also part of that ecosystem. So every game that's on that platform will make use of that token in some way. There'll be a shared marketplace, so you'll be able to not only purchase and sell your assets on our marketplace, but you'll also be able to rent them all. So you'll be able to rent them all, buy and sell, and then the other main use case for the T3 Play token will be that high stakes mode. So the first version of this multiplayer is most likely going to use Matic as the token. So we don't want to release our token until the market's much better and we have demand for it. And we will be waiting till that happens,
Sure.
so we can get the best result possible. But in the meantime, there's no reason we can't use an established token already. And if we're launching this first version on Polygon, then why not use Matic? Most people are pretty happy with Matic and as a either a stable coin or a top 10 coin or something like that is what most people feel comfortable with. And it's like a bring your own coin system. And so once that is out and we've got to the next version of the game, and if the market's good and we launch that token, then we'll swap that token out, so Matic for our token. But that's that's essentially the use cases for the token. In the game itself specifically, each game will need to have at least one match type that utilizes the token. So that, for Flight Force 4, that's going to be, you can play for Matic, and it'll be like up to 10 players. They all have to put a certain amount of that token into the game. It gets pulled, and then at the end of the match, it's split between the winners, and that's basically it. You go again if you want, but yeah, you bring in your own token into the game.
Oh no, I like that, and I like the T3 token as well. And as far as you guys with like all these like tokens that you guys are gonna do, I mean, I'm sorry, just those two, but I like the fact that you guys are gonna wait actually, and I think that's a brilliant strategy. Not a lot of people like that, but I think it's a good strategy. Like wait till the market gets better actually to release that token. I'm 100% for that. And you're speaking of this version 2 that's going to come out. Can you kind of like tell us a little bit more exactly what other things that you haven't said already about this version 2 that maybe some people like don't know yet? Some like early alpha.
Yeah, and just to finish on that token, there's two things really when you're launching a token. Is one, maybe it's beneficial to the platform you're building, whether it's DeFi, gaming, whatever it might be, and that you need that token. So getting it out there is one thing, but the other side of it that everyone is interested in is, does the token go up? Is there a point of me buying this token? Like, and you don't want to have a token that people are like, well, I'm not buying it because I'm only buying it because I can use it in this platform. It's going to be so much more beneficial if you're confident that the price of that token is going up as well. You're going to get so much more people involved that either maybe don't even use the platform. But so that's a big part of launching tokens. But alpha for version 2. I mean, if you're not part of the community, then you won't have heard any of this. But essentially, multiplayer's one, new gameplay, new characters, new weapons, new animations. What else? I guess there's also going to be another game mode, or two game modes really, because there'll be a free-to-play deathmatch or team deathmatch, and there'll be a high-stakes deathmatch game. So the high stakes will be only deathmatch, so it'll be everyone against everyone. It's going to be too hard not too hard, but I think first up we want to test the grounds on that, because if we've got people who are in teams and that there's crypto on the line, essentially, you could have some really good teams just cleaning up and that are too good, or maybe they've found a loophole. We'll play that one by ear, but there'll be deathmatch and then high stakes deathmatch as well. So couple of new maps. There'll be quite a lot. It's gonna be fun.
And actually too, in talking about tokens, right, I kind of want to go back to that too as well. So a lot of people can understand, there's also a lot of work, not only so much in the tokenomics, but also regulatory concerns too as well. And you guys have pretty much had to, I'm pretty sure you guys have had to get all that taken care of before you could even get to this point. Can you kind of speak on so people can know in the audience like how difficult it is actually on that part, like dealing with regulatory concerns and also tokenomics as well?
Yeah, exactly. And so we've been building for 2 years, and we've almost changed strategy 3 times entirely based on legal advice, and just with the industry, how it's kind of developed. Not just how it's developed with like regulation clarity, but also just seeing what other top tier projects are doing and what they've had problems with legally. You kind of just have to see it unfold in real time, because most people, they're guessing. There's not enough regulation clarity, not only in the States but globally. So T3 Play and Flight Force 4, it's a New Zealand business. So we're a legal entity here, and we're mainly constructed. We've got to be looking at the New Zealand laws mainly, but also, I mean, there's nowhere near enough Web3 community in New Zealand for us to survive. So we have to be open to everything else around the world. And so that's where we're at. And it's just a matter of coming up with a system that is keeps us legally safe, but also all of our community, and then also makes sure that we're not going to have major issues when we do see that success, because it's generally when you get the success that they come after you. They're not going to come after the small fry, and you see that right now with the market, with the SEC. They're kind of looking at that, bringing in these ETFs, but you can see they're still trying to nab some of these actors, almost in a way to be like, look, we're still regulating, we're still doing the right thing, and sending big fines, and people are happy sometimes to pay the fines, but you've got to be prepped for it. So we've had a lot of discussions, and we've changed now to a system where we've got that off-chain token XP, and then also our T3 Play token. And not only just that, it's that bring your own coin system. There's a lot of things there where we're safeguarding ourselves, where people can still make money. There's still benefit for them to come in and play the game and use those tokens, but it just protects us a little more. And not only just that, but with gaming, you would almost say generically the main issue has been token inflation with games. In the beginning, the price being great, and then everyone comes in and plays it, and the token just gets minted like crazy, and it inflates the supply, which price goes down, and that's an issue. So all these things are combination of tokenomics, and then making sure you get the regulation and the legal side of things is huge, and it's a lot of work. It's a whole nother thing that a traditional studio doesn't even need to, doesn't need to, but it's a very different system for them, where they're generally just dealing with fiat. And do you have a product? Yes. Okay, there's going to be tax involved, and you've got to just have these things in place, and that's that.
Yeah, it's basically what I'm trying to let the audience know is that you guys have all this taken care of, right? You're working on this part, right? You're also working on the game too as well, and it just basically goes to show that creating a game is hard. It's not something you can just pop up, out of the blue and just, do, and all these tokenomics, and, you got to worry about regulation and all these things. So guys, when, you're seeing like all this stuff that, T3 Play has to do, it's just, it's a headache. They've been building for a long time. So when you go pick these projects, right, and you go out there, you're kind of like looking around to see which ones to get into. Look at the ones that have been building for a while and have been here in this bear market and doing all these things. But also, I love talking about Flight Force 4, but can you tell us about maybe some of the other games that you have going on that are actually going to come out later on down the line, or that you're working on?
Yeah. Yep. So originally we were doing Flight Force 4, and we have another one called Space Carts. And if anyone, I'm sure a lot of the listeners will have played Smash Carts, which is kind of like a Web3 favorite. It's as basic as go-kart game, and you run around blowing people up, and it's good fun, but it's very, very basic. So we thought, why don't we do something similar, but a high-end version of that includes NFTs, and we can incorporate a token somewhere, and it's more community-based, about getting as many, like same kind of thing that Smash Carts is, but it's more, let's onboard as many Web3 communities as possible and give them their own characters or carts or anything like that. So that's the concept for that game, and so that was going to be our second game. But we, as time's gone on, we've realized that the gamers, like the out and out gamers, there's very few of them in Web3. Most of the gamers in Web3 are also investors, or they're just flat out speculators that, I'll play that game because it's fun and I can potentially win some points or something that I can go and buy NFTs with, or whatever it might be. So we want to appeal to that. I mean, this is the industry we're in. Would be, there's just nothing we could do. This is the advantage we have, is we can get into this early on with communities. So we decided, rather than wait years potentially with FF4, why don't we get another shooter game? And so same concept, getting communities involved, but it's just a lower quality version of kind of what we're building with FF4. It's called Polygon. So it's a shooter game, low poly, like kind of more fun style, still high, like graphically nice to look at. And the whole goal is getting other projects characters in this game, and we all just have cross-community tournaments, and we putting up prizes, but also the game is going to be it's a standalone game by itself. You're going to be able to earn a bunch of assets, level up, play, earn XP, earn NFTs, and then there's going to be that marketplace, as I mentioned earlier, where you'll be able to rent those or sell them or whatever you want. And so, it's going to be, that's what we're working on. We've started building that as well. It's a kind of a different team in a way that we're hoping to have out early next year. So it's probable that this Polygon as a game will be out before the multiplayer version of FF4. So it's much easier to build, faster, cheaper, and gets communities involved. FF4 is it's the flagship game. It's its own game. We've got set characters, set assets, and it's not so much about getting communities into the game. But this other one Polygon is more community focused.
I can't wait, right? And a lot of people that kind of just watch my show, right, and kind of trying to learn about these games, like Web3 gaming and everything like that. Like I had Victory Point on, right, and people were starting to kind of ask me, like, so this is like on Xbox or things like that. And I'm like, no, it's going to be a Web3 game, and trying to break it down. And actually, you're like the first studio I've had on since after, right? So I would like to basically, if you could kind of explain, like, what is Unreal Engine to some of these people, because they read it like, what does that mean, Unreal Engine? Like, what is it, and what kind of advantages it gives to actually building a Web3 game?
Quickly, big shout out to Victory Point, Julio, and Dave, good friends of ours, awesome people, and they're building something epic too. But Unreal Engine is kind of the undisputed top gaming engine in terms of graphic quality. Mm-hmm. The advantage is you can get some really amazing looking graphics. Yep. The disadvantage is that it's harder to work with, but also it drains. It's harder on hardware. Like it's tough. You need generally you need some kind of gaming laptop or a PC to be able to play a lot of the high end games without any issues. Like even our demo, which in all fairness has not been optimized much because there's a lot of cost and time involved just in optimizing, but you need a decent laptop to be able to run that, and that's just a small version of the game. So there's a lot of technology though that with even just when we started, it was Unreal Engine 5. We're up to 5.3 2 years later, and the stuff they're coming out with it's insane. Like in that period, I've been, like I mentioned, working on the cinematics and the animations. The animations not so much in Unreal, but the cinematics in Unreal, you're now getting the top movies are using Unreal Engine instead of other programs now, because it's just that powerful. And the funny thing is that they're also used to using their current programs. They come into Unreal and a whole nother ball game, and they're watching tutorial, these 10, 15, 20 year veterans of the industry coming in and having to watch a YouTube tutorial on how to use Unreal Engine. But it's just always got something new. They are developing that quickly, and it's amazing to use. I mean, we love it, but it definitely has its issues, like I mentioned. So something like Unity, where you can get a decent look and a decent game, and it be much lighter on the processing power that's required. You can have there's a lot of Unity games that are browser-based games, not necessarily relying entirely on your own graphics card. It's exciting, but it's almost too hard to keep up with. It's almost like crypto. You just got to stay on with the updates. But there's a lot of cool things that we've now been able to introduce with these updates with Nanite and Lumen, the technology. Basically, Nanite just lets you have way higher detail, and the Lumen is the lighting. So it's like a realistic lighting system in real time. You used to have to bake every single scene, the lighting into the scene, and it wouldn't matter where you went, like whatever angle you were on, the shadow would be baked in, it would be set. Whereas Lumen is real time. You move around and the shadows move with you. It's all like you're in the real world, basically.
I see. That's great right there. And you to kind of break down that exact little bit of detail. And all of this is great. Like I love the whole what you guys are trying to do, like the first person shooter game. Of course, the main one, Flight Force 4, but also the other one as well. But also, you guys had this NFT marketplace that you're going to have. About when do you guys think that will kind of launch? Is that something still quite a ways away out? Your own personal one, or is that something that's going to be coming fairly soon?
I'd love to have it for us to launch this first version of Polygunners, but also this multiplayer version of Flight Force 4. So that's early next year. There's a lot of things that are going into that. We're working with a couple of teams on this. So we've got JR Studio, who does doing all our Web3 integrations, or most of them. We've got our own Web3 dev that's kind of the connector in between. But yeah, they're working on a ton of awesome stuff. But the good problem they have is that they've also taken on quite a few other games, because this is how it's kind of going now, is that plug and play solutions are going to be so much easier than getting your own dev team to build something from scratch. And yes, it's yours, but there's a lot of cost and time involved. And also, you're going to get a lot of traditional games that come over to Web3 when they start seeing the success, and they're going to want these plug and play options. So that we're kind of the test dummy for that, which is really, really good advantage for us. But we're sort of at the will of their time schedules. But we've spoken to them about, can we get this sorted? There's a wallet solution. So within that platform, there's a wallet solution, a launcher, then just all those Web3 functionalities, whether it's Wallet Connect for your NFTs, whether it's playing those high stakes modes, and then also getting the smart contracts sorted where you're playing an off-chain game and it's having to tell a smart contract who won that game so that they can deliver the rewards. So just little things like that, they're already been worked on, and the solutions are getting faster and easier as we go. I mean, in the 2 years, we've seen stuff that people were saying it was almost impossible or just couldn't happen quickly. It's done. A lot of the wallet stuff that's coming is really cool as well.
I can't wait. And I love this part, like when kind of like reading and everything like that. I love this portion that you guys have. Kind of tell me how AI is going to kind of play into like the whole studio. I'm really interested on that. I'm a big fan of AI technology. Can you kind of give us a little bit more information on that?
Yeah, there's two kind of avenues. There's your traditional AI, which gaming's kind of had for a long time, whether it's a bot that you've got in the game, like an NPC, where you walk up to it and it talks to you and you follow it, whether it's something like that, or whether it's a data-based AI, which is just tracking what players are doing and giving us a good idea of what gamers are enjoying and what we should improve, what we can do better, and what we can put more of in the game and take out if it's not working, things like that. And then the other side of it is kind of the new frontier, really, in AI, of what most people are seeing these days, where you've got people using prompts to generate anything from videos to models to images and even music and sound. So we've got a guy in our team, which I'll give a wee shout out, Shirk, who's spent a lot of time doing this, learning how to prompt properly and using multiple different AI bots, and he's been working on it, and this is actually what we're seeing with Polygunners, is he's worked on all the characters, and these are all generated from AI. Again, something that 6 months ago people were like, you just can't, it's impossible. Sure, you can generate an image, but then somehow you've got to get that image to become 3D, and it's not a simple process. So we've got it down now to a point where we can generate a 3D asset, put it into a 3D program like Blender or Maya, and it just needs a few tweaks. And now you've got this physical 3D asset, whether it's a character, a weapon. It's just so fast compared to designing a model from scratch and building it from scratch, which takes days or weeks. You can have that base model generated within a couple of hours, and then you're just tweaking it from there. So that's something that's really cool, because now you've got what you're essentially doing is taking a process that maybe takes 3 or 4 people and 1 or 2 weeks. You're taking that down to, I mean, we think we're going to be able to create a character from scratch within a couple of days, which is fully rigged and ready to drop in a game.
I like that, but I do want to ask you a question about AI. Everybody kind of asks this, right? Are you scared that of AI going to overthrow us, kind of like in Terminator or anything like that? Do you have any kind of different reservations about that, or are you pretty much a big believer in AI technology? And you can tell us if you're a little scared about it. Don't worry.
I think 2 years ago, I would have said I'm scared because I didn't understand it. And I just thought, well, this is if something's going to keep getting better and better and better and smarter, how can you stop it eventually? It's got to get to a point, right, where eventually it's just too good. It just does what it wants. But after having played with a lot of stuff with AI and learned a lot more, I kind of understand that we're in control. So behind each AI is a person, essentially, and that AI has to learn from commands. And I mean, eventually, I'm sure there will be an AI that learns from its master, and then becomes too smart, or just gets let loose in the wrong area and causes some problems. No, that will definitely happen. But yeah, I'm a big believer in AI, and I think a lot of people think, well, it's going to take everyone's jobs, and it's like, well, no, the person behind the AI is going to take your job. So it's something that the next 2 years, I think, are going to be huge, because you're going to see the most development, I think, in the next 2 years, where it's kind of like crypto, where if you're early, you can get the benefits. And so AI obviously have less financial gain unless you're investing in an AI company, but it has more like intellectual gain, I suppose, where you can learn so much in the next 2 years that are going to potentially financially benefit you later if you use it in the right way. So it's an exciting time. But yeah, I'm still on the fence on if I'm scared. I think definitely less scared.
Yeah, it's a question I like to ask people. I believe in AI. I love AI technology, but I do like the conspiracy theorists that say that AI is gonna eat us and whatnot, and they're gonna farm us and things like that. So I love that part of it, because when I think of AI, I think of like robots and things like that, and like I Am Legend, and then Blender from Futurama too as well. Yeah. So I think of it kind of like that. But you guys have a collection on Polygon. You're going to build another one on Polygon too as well. And as a gaming studio, what makes Polygon so appealing to actually build on?
I think longevity is one. I have followed Polygon for a long time, and originally we were meant to launch on Terra. So there's been a few projects on Polygon that have come over from Terra, hence the Stargaze collection. And so at the time, the market was just a mess, and we were looking at Polygon or Ethereum essentially. And the reasons were because after the Terra debacle, even though we're building a game and we can kind of switch chain if need be, we didn't want to have an NFT collection that's on a chain that then also collapses. It's just an unnecessary problem to have to deal with. And so we thought, let's launch on the chain that we know is going to be here no matter what. Even, and you would say that if you were to say what's the worst thing that could happen to crypto, maybe you say everything dies except for Bitcoin, and maybe Ethereum survives too. So we launched that collection on Ethereum, but then we've always had Polygon in our sites. But back then there was, I think most people probably know, like Matic Man and Crypto Crew. He was one of the first that kind of took the dive that we knew personally, and we're just like, right, okay, it went well for him. Right? Now we'll, you just slowly start to see, and this in the last 12 months, there's a few, I guess, protocols and layer ones and layer twos that have really been putting the work in, and Polygon is one of them, and you can see it. And the community is vibrant. There's a lot of people who are on the same page. There's so many projects coming from different chains over to Polygon. So I think, it's here to stay. So that gives us the confidence as well, because we've always wanted to launch here. And it's kind of, been a really good period for them in terms of growing over the last 12 months.
Yeah, and can you also speak on the fact that how accessible maybe the Polygon Foundation has been with you guys, and have they been, also to willing, really willing to work with you guys, and anything you need, you kind of speak on that part too as well?
In all honesty, we haven't really had any discussions with anyone on that. We're just kind of building away, doing our thing. I'm sure that those discussions will pop up, but from what we've heard from everyone is that, they're one of the more involved teams when you're launching on a chain, which is good. If that support's there, that's huge, and you can see it. Obviously they've opened up Polygon Village as well just recently again.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of thing is huge for builders, and we'll probably look into that. But like the rest of this year for us is just chaos.
Yeah, no,
so much going on.
I 100% get it, and everyone that I've talked to has said, like, hey, Polygon's very accessible. They're very, the community is very welcoming. Matic Man, of course, Big Nil, Brandoff, all those guys too as well. But you're speaking of crypto wallets, right? Crypto wallets and games, right? And how do we get somebody that's non-crypto actually in using those crypto wallets and games? Do you think there's going to be a easy way to actually do that, or maybe you guys have an easier way, or how do you think we can onboard those people into actually using the crypto wallet and making it so where it's not very complicated and not getting scammed and things like that? Could you give your take on that subject?
Yeah, we're working on a solution ourselves. There's a lot of companies that have got on-ramps. I know Comet's got MoonPay now with getting fiat into your wallet and then into another whatever crypto it is that you need. So it is definitely the main issue, but also just having that wallet is the issue. So yes, you can onboard fiat, but you've got to have the wallet in the first place. So getting that part of it as easy and streamlined as possible is the goal. And there's I think a lot of wallets are moving towards a system like this. Like when you think about your bank account, I mean, I don't know what it's like in most other countries, but I only need a PIN number and a username to get into my bank account. Why does my wallet need to be more than that? Why do I need this giant seed phrase? What's that about? If someone can get my username and PIN number, they got full access to my bank account. And, contrary to what most people who are not on Web3 believe, it's actually more transparent for us to go and track all the transactions. If someone does get into my wallet, I can see where everything went. It's just I can't do much about it. So the stuff that we're working on is, I think, using just sign up with Gmail and sign up with Facebook, Twitter, whatever else you may want. So essentially you're just putting another account to it and having a password, and that we generate. There's no seed phrase. There's literally just a password. So for us, that's the main thing is once you've created an account, that's it. That's your account. And if you want to change passwords and things like that, you can. It doesn't need to be that seed phrase, but I think the seed phrase system had its place, especially with Bitcoin. I mean, you've seen a lot of people though that wish they didn't have to worry about a seed phrase.
Yeah,
they'd have lost a lot of money, but it's a bottleneck, that's for sure.
Yeah, and hopefully we get to that kind of point, and then kind of I know you're busy, I know you have to go, but kind of my next question too is that I've been wanting to ask you. So we have Web3 gaming, and And of course, we have our traditional studios, like I'm not studio, but gaming console like Xbox, Nintendo, PlayStation. Like, how far are we out from an actual Web3 game, or actually Web3 gaming studio being kind of mentioned in the same kind of like realm as like maybe like as a Blizzard or Activision? Like, how far do you think we're out from that? Your opinion.
Activision and Blizzard, I think, these guys have been around so long, made so many good games. So maybe not to that level, but I would say somewhere mentionable. I mean, you got Ubisoft. You could put them in close to that bracket. They're transparently involved in Web3 now. So you got to say we're not far away. I would like to think in the next 12 months. Being mentioned, not so much because of what they've built, but just being mentioned in those circles, because Activision and those studios have built their reputation over 20 plus years. EA Sports, those kind of EA games, they're just synonymous. And Rockstar, those are the big ones that everyone's kind of heard of because they've proven themselves. It's going to take the same amount of time for people to prove themselves in Web3, but I think to be mentioned, you got some really good studios building some amazing stuff at the moment, that it is just a matter of time for one of them to pop off, get the user base, and then that's it, really.
Yeah, hopefully so. And for everybody, kind of like in Web3, I'm pulling for Web3 gaming. I know it gets a lot of, I know I was getting murdered last kind of run, but with Web3 gaming, like, it sucks. I don't have a really good, nobody has a good game, but hopefully we can make that kind of comeback. And as far as, this, right, T3 play, where would you guys kind of like to be a year from now? Because next year there's going to be the halvening, right? I honestly think that the whole crypto sector, NFTs and everything like that, we're going to look a lot different this time next year, because I think we're going to start to trend upwards after the halvening next year. So where would you guys like to be a year from now?
Yeah, so this is pretty much directly related to our roadmap, which is we'd want to release first the Polygon game and the FF4 multiplayer version, the T3 Play platform itself. So have those games on the platform, have a bunch of communities involved, get that marketplace up and running, and build that player base. Add as many communities as we can to Polygon, and then that becomes a funnel. We probably will begin building the Space Carts game later next year, but also, like you were saying, the halvening coming up, then the market improving. That's should be what happens, and then gearing up to getting that demand to release our token in favorable conditions. Similar to what we were seeing 2 years, three years ago, where people were just launching tokens left, right, and center, but they had nothing to back them with. It was just ideas. It was like very few things were actually tangible products you could go use that, unless it was like a DeFi platform or something. But having the use case for the token and then launching our token, and but also raising money as well. So raising money so that under T3 Play, so we can really supercharge these efforts. Like we'll keep building no matter what. We're not giving up. This is going to happen. Whether it's just a matter of how long it takes for us. So the ways that we can speed that up, that's what we're looking at, trying to get to those much quicker.
Yeah, no, totally 100% like that. I like they said the whole platform. I'm looking forward to the other game too, as well, seeing some of the images on that. But you guys also do some spaces too as well. I actually got quite a bit of spaces with Victory Point and other communities too. Are those certain set spaces, or is that something that you guys kind of like pop up every now and again? Like, where should people like go to kind of like find you and actually go into those spaces and kind of learn more about Web3 gaming, and of course you guys as well?
Yeah, well, I would say the first place is go to t3play.com, but give us a follow on Twitter, FF4 and T3 Play. We've got the Polygoners account as well, which has kind of been kept up under wraps. So that those two spaces, we've got two spaces that we run each week. One of them's kind of turning into a content creator special. which is Tuesday, 3 p.m. EST. And then Thursday space, which is tomorrow, we've got one, for example, at 3 p.m., which is a game zone as well, which is more focused on the games and getting awesome games on the space without having too many. We try and keep it to 4 or 5 so that everyone gets a good chance to chat and talk about what they're building, but also get some discussions going and talk about real issues and how we can actually move this industry forward together rather than just have a space where we're shilling and patting each other on the backs. We want to talk about real stuff that gets results and gets us moving in the right direction, and also builds a relationship and hopefully provides value for those listeners as well, kind of like what you were doing earlier, asking what what are red flags even just for Web3 games, because there will be there's going to be a bull run. There's going to be multiple NFT projects flood the market that are there just to take your money. They'll be the same for the games. It's just the way it works.
And probably even steal some of your footage too as well and put it on. And I really appreciate you, Shaun, for coming on. And before I let you go, is there anything else you want to say, or are there any community members you want to shout out, or any team members you want to shout out before you go?
I'll give a big shout out to you for having us on your show. I think we've been seeing what you're doing, and we love the effort that you're putting in, and I just can't wait to see you keep growing and growing into this bull run, because you got a great format here, and people get to learn about projects in a way that they wouldn't otherwise, whether they have time to get on spaces or not. At least this is something they can jump on and watch and when it works for them. Shout out to you. And then I'd say shout out to my co-founder Cece, Sam, who's away on a hunting trip. He's kind of our lead community manager, Shirk, a bunch of all of our Defender Council team, and just all of the community that's supported us so far. We've got an amazing community, and we can't wait to keep delivering on our promises and just soar into this bull run together and get these games happening so we can all play against each other and start using these assets.
Oh, I can't wait, and I can't wait to play and rage quit, man. But I do appreciate appreciate your time. And guys, this wraps our show. If you like content like this, please like, comment, share, subscribe. Follow me on X. Of course, follow T3 Play on X, Flight Force 4. Any other socials I'm going to have kind of pinned down at the bottom. And guys, keep that dog in you, and I will see you on the next one. Take care.